Meta are on the cusp of making some big VR announcements. We're teetering on the edge of an avalanche of information for what will be the biggest year in VR yet. Let's go over some recent developments before we get into the juiciest stuff later. Meta Quest now officially supports Unreal Engine 5. Just prior they covered the final updates for Unreal Engine 4 and that it'll have support until May of this year, with critical bug fixes to the end of 2022. This is good news in the sense of progress, but the major upsides to UE5 will not be supported by the Quest 2, which is their nanite and lumen tech. This is understandable being that they are fairly resource heavy. It's still good news though, as it shows Meta want their platform on the bleeding edge with the latest development engines and tech. Speaking of Unreal 5, VR has a sizable footprint on this year's Game Developer Conference which starts today, including a session covering the aforementioned Unreal Engine on Quest 2. Let's take a look at some sessions we should be keeping a close eye on at GDC 23. First up, the developers of Iron Man VR Camouflage are doing a session on the 22nd of March, going over how they fit what was originally a PSVR title onto the Quest 2, so we should get an idea of what compromises need to be made, and maybe a clue on what they're working on next. We have Toby talking about eye and head tracking, an exciting one as the CEO of Endreams covering the VR industry and market with a significant tagline, VR is now officially mass market and about to get even bigger. Definitely keep your eye on this one as it covers exclusive data and insights from across the industry. It should confirm just how much progress the space has made and the position it's in so far. I've no doubt we should be feeling optimistic. Devs of Mother Gunship talking all things bullet hell, Alchemy Labs talk developing for the Quest 2 and also a session on the sound and voice performance in Moss Book 2. But the biggest one we should all have our eyes glued on is this session. What's up with VR, Meta Quest today and where it's going tomorrow. This is our best opportunity for future software or hardware teasers. More specifically in the description we have, this talk will cover the state of the VR game industry on Meta's Quest platform, including both business milestones, imagine sales figures, and a peek into the future of VR technology. Wednesday, March 22nd, 2 to 3 PM. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified as I'll be covering all the announcements and any teases in the next video. I'm seeing some interesting chatter on Twitter regarding upcoming unreleased games. I'd love to know what Eric from Big Box is talking about. Sadly, it's Bradley has been teasing some bits too. I know he's working on a Vertigo 2 video. Gamertag also tweeted something similar, but it ended up referring to Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 on PSVR 2, which looks incredible. A serious night and day difference from Quest 2 for obvious reasons. But based on the fact we have Quest 3 dev kits in the wild now, I'm sure developers are excited to make use of the additional power for the upcoming 41 new apps and games launching with the new hardware. Very exciting indeed. Either during GDC or at the very least by the end of the month, we should expect Meta to announce this year's gaming showcase. 2022 showcase occurred on 20th of April and was fairly lackluster with lots of games that we expected to be announced. Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, Bone Lab, Red Mat 2, Among Us VR was one of the few surprises, and their apparent big announcement, Ghostbusters VR, which is still yet to release. So I'm expecting this year's to be a banger, hyping up releases years in the making. Maybe some surprise launches or end of the showcase drops, who knows, but as soon as I find out you bet I'll be summarising on here. Population 1 just became free. In my opinion, the best multiplayer VR shooter money can buy. On top of the free to play nature, it's also had a long list of other updates including graphical improvements. This is a huge achievement for Big Box, and if you haven't played Population 1 before, now you really have no excuse. Give me a shout if you want to squad up and we'll make it happen. VR mods seem to be hitting big right now. I just finished Half-Life 2 VR mod, which was amazing and I recommend everyone jump in on that one. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 has just dropped by the same modders, so I can't wait to jump in on that one. But they also announced a release date for Episode 2, April 6th, right around the corner. Just a huge round of applause to the Source VR mod team. I'm replaying Half-Life Alyx at the moment, and I'll be running through Levitation and Re-Education once I finish, both highly touted and incredibly well reviewed campaign style mods to extend the story. I saw some interesting Call of Duty Zombies mods for contractors on Twitter. I haven't tried it out yet, but it's certainly one to jump onto. Maybe a comparison between that and Drop Dead The Cabin is in order. We also have Bone Lab Fusion, the new big time Bone Lab multiplayer mod for PCVR. As you can see from the trailer, it looks mental and well worth jumping in with friends. Speaking of friends, a huge thank you to all you early subscribers, it means the world. I've only just started, but I'd love to build a wholesome VR community where all the VR lovers are welcome to voice their opinions in a safe place. You're all the first major part of that, so anyone else who wants to subscribe, I would love to have you. And remember, VR is one community. We're not split between Quest, PCVR or PSVR 2. They're all good options and they're all good for the medium. VR has never been so strong, but the division we've seen creeping in lately is not good for the space. I know Beardo Benjo is currently on a social media break, so make sure to send some nice messages his way. We all need to stick together to push the media forward, so comment below your predictions for Meta at GDC, or just let me know how your day's going. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be the first to know what's announced by Meta on Wednesday, and I'll see you on Wednesday for the next video.